I've always said this, Brett, if I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
You're done. This is a no.
This is a no.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the controversy surrounding West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin being against the Build Back Better bill that's floating around in Congress. Now, there's a lot here, but let's back up a little. Let's back up to explain what this is and why there's so much controversy. Now, Build Back Better is a spending bill proposed by the Biden administration. They're talking about 4.7 trillion, 5.8 trillion. I'm not really sure. I mean, you're talking about trillions of dollars in spending for stuff like quote unquote infrastructure, green energy, climate change, earned income tax credit for kids, and a bunch of stuff, right? Now, all the Democrats appear to be on board with it. And the reason why I say appear is because Manchin is the only one who has publicly spoken out against it. But there could be others who are against it behind closed doors who have not said anything as of yet. But if there was a vote, because there's been no vote, by the way, this is all just, I'm going to vote against it. There's been no vote, but if they force a vote, it might not be Joe Manchin who was the only Democrat against it. You could have Kristen Sinema or others, who knows? But as of right now, Manchin is the only one that's against it. Now, the way the Senate is set up right now, at least, is that there's 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. So if all Democrats vote yes on Build Back Better, including Joe Manchin, then it's over because Kamala Harris, as a president of the Senate, will be the tiebreaker. She'd vote yes. Then it'll go through to the president. President signs off. Now we have Build Back Better. So you see a lot in the media. They say, oh, Joe Manchin, he's the only guy standing in the way of progress. And he hates kids and he hates the climate and the planet, all this and that and the third. But in reality, it's not even about that. That's just media posturing. That's just the media talking about whatever they want to talk about, pushing their own narrative. And it's not just him. You have 50 Republicans who are going to be against it as well. That's 51 versus 49. That's the majority. Okay, it is what it is. Let's not frame it like it's Manchin by himself. He may be the lone Democrat speaking out against it right now, but he is far from the only one who is against the bill. It's just too much money. It's too ridiculous. And he could not bring that back to West Virginia and explain it to them. Now, I'm speaking from a guy who was born in Charleston, West Virginia. Shout out to you guys at Canal County, Rand University. Shout out to everybody out there. I was born there, raised in Virginia. My family in West Virginia on both sides goes back all the way to like slave times, 1800s. Some of us did not own. Some of us were not slaves, but that's a different story. And I digress. But we go all the way back. So I know West Virginia. You know, I was born there, was not raised there, but I spent a lot of time up there as a kid. Summertime, Christmas, Thanksgiving, that's my spot. That's my second home, basically, West Virginia. I know a lot about it. And I was seeing a lot of ugly things being said about West Virginia and the people there. You may have seen Bette Midler talking about, oh, Joe Manchin wants the entire nation to be backward like his state. Oh, they're illiterate and they're strung out. They're uneducated and all types of stuff. They're poor, a lot of different things. Now, one thing about West Virginia is that, yes, we're small, about 1.8 million people. Yes, there's issues with addiction. Yes, there's issues with poverty. But you got to just understand the state to really understand why we would not vote for a thing like Build Back Better. Because some on the left, they say, well, hey, you guys need the money. You guys are poor. You guys are X, Y, and Z. But we're not just trying to look for a handout. We're not just trying to be dependent upon the government. We're not trying to be a slave or a dependent type state. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to go out there and work. And one thing about Build Back Better is that they are very hostile against the fossil fuel industry. Not just this particular bill, but the entire Biden administration. They're very hostile against fossil fuel. In West Virginia, the economy was traditionally based on the coal mining industry. Okay, there's coal mines everywhere. West Virginia is like the heart of Appalachia, mountains everywhere is coal, right? Now, Hillary Clinton famously said that she's going to shut down all the coal plants. I think Obama said that too.
Example, I'm the only candidate which has a policy about how to bring economic opportunity using clean, renewable energy as the key into coal country, because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
So if you're talking about jobs and infrastructure and bringing back, a little bit of life to the state, why would you close down the main thing that is keeping the state afloat, which is the coal industry? Why would you do that? Green energy is a farce. Green energy, from my point of view, and if I'm wrong factually, y'all let me know in the comments, but green energy, all that it does is siphon tax money from regular everyday normies like you and I to give it to a Tesla or some other kind of quote unquote green energy company in the form of subsidies, in the form of straight cash payments, in the form of X, Y, and Z. And, at the Build Back Better bill, they got all this money in there for green energy. How is that going to help the regular person in Charleston, Morgantown, Beckley, Wheeling, or somewhere else? How is that going to help them be able to have a job, be able to get money? Okay, they're proposing higher taxes. That's not going to help. The money printing is going to cause more inflation. That's most certainly not going to help. If you have a state already in poverty and you take away the jobs because of your environmental regulations, you print all these trillions of dollars, making the dollar worth less than what it already is. You're killing the savings. You're killing the ability to transact. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. So maybe we're not so quote unquote dumb and uneducated like a Bette Midler would think. We have a higher literacy rate in West Virginia than New York and California, and I'll place evidence for that in the description box below. Okay, we don't have so many illegal aliens and ghetto, violent, dangerous public schools and things of that nature in West Virginia as they do in other states and your California and New York. That's just the reality of the situation. Okay, and then the whole thing about being strung out. Now, there is a problem with drugs in West Virginia. There's most certainly a problem. Appalachia in general, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania on the western part, North Carolina, Tennessee, even like North Georgia. There's a problem with drugs. That's not up for debate. But the question is, why is there a problem with drugs? And what drugs are we talking about? The main thing that's affecting Appalachia is the pills. Where do pills come from? How do we get all this fentanyl and oxycodone and all this? It comes from Big Pharma. Fentanyl is a Big Pharma creation. Oxycontin, oxytocin, all these things, Xanax, that's all Big Pharma. So you're going to make drugs more affordable. Well, what are you talking, like what drugs are you talking about? You talking about pain medication? You talking about antidepressants? You talking about benzo, Xanax and stuff like that? Now, if you're going to make drugs more affordable, how is it going to help the situation in Appalachia where the issue is the cheap drugs already that come from pill mills, aka quote unquote doctors, and also from Detroit, Michigan, specifically, Mexico, China, everywhere else? How are you going to solve the drug problem by making drugs cheaper? Now, if you're talking about like insulin, things of that nature, that's a different story. That's a whole different thing. But what drugs are we speaking about specifically? You're not going to solve the drug problem. Probably make the drug problem worse. You're not going to solve the issue with poverty because you're taking jobs away, and you're not going to solve the issue of education because you can't even go to the school board meeting and have a chit chat about kids being introduced into LGBTQ elemental P stuff at the age of 9 and 10. So my question would be, how could Joe Manchin possibly vote for that particular bill? Why would he do that? And why would anybody in the country, but especially in a poverty-stricken state like West Virginia, vote for it? Just because there's poverty, just because there's drugs, does not mean you don't have great people. There's beautiful people, a great state, okay? It's just not a whole lot going on economically, that's all. But if you go up there, man, the people are nice, is, hospitable, it's all good. It's like we're the northernmost southern state in West Virginia. Hospitality is like Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, somewhere like that, where everybody's so nice and everybody is kind and, will wave at you when you drive by. That's the way it is in West Virginia. So these people, they live in their ivory towers on the East Coast and the West Coast. They don't understand the way it is inside of America. inside of regions like Appalachia and whatnot, Midwest, they don't really get it. They don't understand. Okay. But Joe Manchin being from, was he from Fairmont or Farmington, one of those places, like in the northern part close to Morgantown, he understands the state. He's a native of the state. I understand the state, being born in Charleston. A lot of my family's still up there right now. I understand the state. I understand what it is. They don't get it. And ultimately, as I close, they don't really care about West Virginians. I'm talking about those like Bette Midler and everyone else that wants to attack the state. They don't really care about the state. They're just simply upset at Joe Manchin, and they want to attack him any kind of way they can. But as he said in the recording, which I placed in the description box, you can't just keep piling on me, dogpiling on me, attacking me, and expect for me to change. If you want my opinion to change, if you want my vote to change to a yay rather than a nay, then change your bill. Stop spending trillions of dollars for no reason. But if you don't want to do that, then I can't do nothing for you. Don't attack me. Don't attack my constituents, because that would make me just double down even more than what I already had been. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Joe Manchin's stance on the Build Back Better? Is he doing the right thing? Is he doing the wrong thing? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. I think all these people on the internets, these left-wing pundits, these so-called celebrities, E-list celebrities, giving their 2 cents. The Squad, Pramila Jayapal, Ilhan Omar, all these people, they're talking about what West Virginia needs and how the state is so small, and they want to insult West Virginia. Don't know the first thing about it. Never been there. Probably don't want to go there. You know, they're just talking because they want to pressure Joe Manchin into voting for a thing that he should not vote for. And, you know, to talk about the size of the state, it's like 1.8 million people, very small state. So what? Okay. The founding fathers understood that each state needed to have some power. It shouldn't just be, okay, the biggest states with the biggest population, you run the nation. No, every state has an equal say in what's going on. That's why they want to have DC become a state as well. If you understand, it's weird because they'll say, oh, your state's too small, you shouldn't have a say. But then when Washington, D.C. is like 600,000 strong in the city, they say, oh, we need to have D.C. be the 51st state. We need to have representation because we're getting taxed, all this and that. Oh, it's okay for D.C. to be a state with a population that's like 1/3 or 1/4 West Virginia. But West Virginia being a state is wrong because Joe Manchin is voting against Build Back Better. You see how that works? You see how they do? They play with words. They play with their particular standards. They have standards when it's necessary for them to get certain things done. But when it's not, they totally abandon them. That's how they operate. And I think a lot of the American people are, quite frankly, tired of it. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.